I started practicing yoga as a senior in high school. My mom, I'm a mama's boy, and so my mom she was practicing yoga. She would wake up at 5 in the morning and do yoga, and she asked me to join her. And at that time, I was a 3-sport athlete. I ran track, played basketball and football. I tried it, and it was something about it that kind of it stuck with me. I fell in love instantly, and so I continued practicing, and I went on to college and I tried to get deeper and deeper into it. I took my practice seriously, because what I also recognized was that ever since I had started practicing yoga, I never had a muscle injury. I never dealt with any of those kind of things that required me to miss a significant period of time from my sports. And I also found that yoga was very therapeutic for me in regards to recovery. So for me, yoga was it allowed me the window to do everything that I wanted to do. And at that time, it was just to be an athlete.
So I started practicing yoga probably 3 years ago. My wife went through a program maybe 4 years ago. So my wife is a registered certified yoga teacher. And we started practicing hot yoga, Bikram yoga. And that was my style. So that was it, right? Because I felt like I couldn't deal with just myself being quiet or my thoughts. And so it was more a physical practice. And then she slowly kind of got me into some other styles of yoga, and so I've been practicing for about 3 years now. My decision to become a yoga teacher was about the representation, right? And so when I went to the Bikram class, when I went to other classes, there was no person that looked like me, right? So I decided to go into education because there were not too many male African-American men teachers. So I think it's the same thing for yoga. It's how do I get more people on the mat to help those individuals breathe and take care of themselves? I mean, I know what yoga did for me, and if yoga can do the same thing for other black men, young boys, then it's just a great place to start. So I wanted to be that person. Also, I don't consider myself as this great yogi, right? So I want people to be able to say whoa, if that guy can do it and be vulnerable enough to put himself out there, then I can do it as well.
Okay, so what inspired me to become a yoga teacher stemmed from growing up. Both of my parents are school teachers. So I've always been around a teaching environment. And so everything that I learned growing up, I had to also teach it. With yoga being one of my passions, I wanna give that to more people, and that gave me the desire to want to be a teacher. And so everywhere I went, I tried to find a way to teach it. And so I started probably when I was in college and I just graduated from college. I was working with Lady Shantae Kinman with Bang and Body, and I would teach boot camp classes, and at the end of every boot camp class, I would do some type of yoga. I found Beachbody had this PIO thing that was a lot more affordable for me, and so I got the PIO certification, and I was teaching PIO, and everywhere I went, I was trying to figure out how to get my foot in the door, but financially it was just
So the Collective is a group of black yogis who aim to consciously and intentionally bring health and wellness to communities of color through yoga, mindfulness, meditation, healthy eating, self-care. It's really about self-love. So we are working to just make sure that individuals have access to healthy choices, that they're heard. So it's not saving the community, it's working with the community to bring about just good, positive vibes.
Of my 15 years of practicing yoga, I've always been one in a million in a class. So I was I kind of expected I would be the only guy, right? Then I look in the back and I notice there's another guy. So I'm not alone. We found there was 5 more people in the group, and we just naturally just gravitated to each other. We had the same passions, the same pride in who we were as African Americans, and we knew our history, and it was okay, hey, we have 2 educators, we have a future lawyer, One of them just got an MBA. The other one is going back to college to get her master's degree. I was like, this is it's a collection of African-American professionals that do yoga.
The origin of the collective really stemmed from the fact that 6 yogis participated in the Yoga Buzz teacher training program, a program that brought us close together, bonded. And from that program, we started to think about these outreach projects that we wanted to do. And that's the origin of the collective. When you think about the Yoga Buzz mission and desire to make yoga accessible to all kind of communities, the collective is an extension of that, right? So whereas we have individuals who are in our program who are working with all kind of individuals and communities, our community that we're focusing on is the urban African-American community. So the collective is definitely an extension of just the love and the learning and the light from the Yoga Buzz program. So forever grateful for that opportunity.
Everybody has their own comfort zones, or comforts, and people naturally feel more comfortable around people or things that they can identify with or they've had positive experiences with. And so historically in a yoga studio, you very seldom see an African-American yoga teacher. In a yoga class, you very seldom see African-Americans in there. I'm a product of East St. Louis, and East St. Louis has its own stigmas and negativity around it. But that's my comfort zone, and so me having the passion of yoga and wanting to present yoga to minorities would gladly go into that area because I'm comfortable there, and those people will be receptive to me because they're comfortable with me. And that in turn opens the door to provide or present yoga to people that wouldn't necessarily try it on their own. Everywhere I go, a buddy of mine will come and say, "Hey, I need to get in your class. Let me know when the class is. I'm gonna actually try it now." You know, I get posts like, "You've inspired me to try yoga." You know, and even my students, like, I have a student just text me. He was like, "Mr. Nelson, when we come back, I want you to help me get in the crow pose." You know, and so I've slowly over the years been trying to like ease like yoga and the practice of asana into their lives from my track athletes, because the human body is built to recover. Yoga provides that space if we know how to do it. And I don't even present it as yoga. We just do some stretches in sequence, and they start the dialogue of, you know, yoga. And so what the collective does and the mission of the collective is to present this beautiful gift that's always been here called yoga to people that didn't even recognize that it's been here, and they've been doing it to some extent, and allow them to more consciously do it so that it helps them.
The tools within yoga to help impact the African American community, yoga is free, right? And so you really don't even need a mat to do yoga. And so if we can just help individuals access all the tools that they already have in us, right? The Buddha says that we have all the tools, all we have to do is remember. And so basically bringing people together, teaching them a few poses, starting with sun salutation. They can literally walk away with sun A, sun B, and do that forever in their homes. They don't need a studio. They don't need a mat. They can do it. And focusing on the breath. I mean, at the end of the day, I was reading something recently, and a person said that they've been practicing yoga all their lives, right? And they started asana probably 5 years ago. And that hit me like, whoa, that's crazy, right? And what she was saying is that yoga was really about her breath. When you take a look at all the trauma that individuals in urban communities are experiencing, some of the oppression, all these social injustices and inequities that exist, we don't have anything except for our breath, right? And so no one can take that away from you. And so when in the midst of having a bad day or a challenging situation, we can always go behind closed doors and take a breath, be it a 3-part breath, be it whatever. We can always just come back to our breath. And I think ultimately inviting individuals back to their breath that's yoga. And everybody can experience that, including the Black community. I think ultimately the collective will like to help the Black community and urban communities remember that you have your breath and no one can take that away from you, and that's true yoga. So the first event, really excited about this event. It's a dedication to Dr. Martin Luther King. And so this year we're gonna celebrate an event on his birthday, and it's called Ahimsa, Practicing the Art of Nonviolence. Ahimsa is a yoga philosophy, a yoga terminology. And when we think about nonviolence, I mean, Dr. Martin Luther King he's the epitome of that. And so we close our eyes, you think about him being that person. And so this is a dedication to his work. Yoga is very active, is very much about the people. Martin Luther King was very active, very much about the people, and so our yoga event on the 15th is dedicated to his life, his legacy, and his love of all people. And in the true spirit of Martin Luther King, all people are welcome. So, be it a person who has practiced yoga forever, a new person, Black, white, gay, straight, bigger bodies, smaller bodies, we're opening the doors up to everyone.
Ahimsa, yeah. So being a minority African American group at this present stage in our history of the United States and just period, it's like this prime like situation, like the stage is like primed for more and more unity. And so since 45 and everything that's been going on in the world with Ferguson and everything like that, we are thirsty for a leader or help or ways to cope with the way we feel and what we're going through. And the Black community has been coming together like never before. When we support Black business like never before now, we're more conscious about supporting each other through the mission and life of Dr. Martin Luther King, and having that nonviolent but purposeful mindset, you know what I mean? The African American community has always been left to their own devices on coping with their feelings. And like whether it be anger, loss, pain, we're left to our own devices, and it's drugs, it's violence, or or what have you. This mantra of Ahimsa, it even makes those that practice yoga more mindful of, it's like this practice is deeper. Like Terry was saying earlier, when we were learning about yoga, and to find that asana is the third part of yoga, and there's like more, and there was two before, it was like mind blowing. Like, you mean I've only been practicing a fraction of what yoga is?
Really excited about this program because if you think about our community, we are in a space right now where we need to practice nonviolence. We need to come together and be one. And so I'm excited that the collective is going to offer this event on the 15th. This is the collective. This is the collective. This is the collective.
Two steps in a circle.
Right.